It's always, I always hate to discourage this good conversation that goes on. And so welcome to the 25th Annual John D. Hamilton Community Service Award. We certainly appreciate you being here tonight. This is our first time at the Chautauqua Suites, and I think based on the crowd, I think it was probably a good decision that we decided that maybe we ought to move the event up here. If you choose, you have your salads now, as I understand, and if you choose to go ahead and start on them anytime you can. As I look out over this crowd, and I've mentioned to several of you, there's almost 300 friendly, familiar faces that I'm looking at, and I certainly can't thank you enough for being here. And you'll hear that several times this evening. Most everybody in this room I've got to know since my 20 years at the foundation, and it means a great deal to me and to the foundation for your presence. A lot of what we're going to do tonight, as you can see from the screen, is look at this 25-year anniversary. We've been delighted. The foundation's been delighted to present this award over all these years. Before we get started, though, I want to take this opportunity to recognize those organizations that provide us support over this current year and have many cases for many years. And I'd like to recognize Allied Alarm Services. Mike Roberts and Pamela Knoll are here. The group from BWB and the Vineyard Group, Christy Zabrowski and Tom Benson, and Christy is here somewhere. Colecraft Commercial Furnishings has been a year-long sponsor. Dave Messenger and Chris Friend and Aaron Wheeler are here somewhere, so thank you to Colecraft. One of our longest supporters is the Courier Capital Group, Randy Ordinas, and I can see Randy and Diana out there in front of me. Thank you. Faulkner Printing and Design. I'm sure you've enjoyed reading our annual report over the last few years. They've done just an excellent job, and Jim Roach is here, and thank you, Jim. The JNA Group, Gina Versa. Gene wasn't able to join us, but let's not forget them either with a round of applause. MD Electronics, Bruce Dudgeon. We thank you to Bruce for that sponsorship. And another long-standing group in our year-long sponsors is the Northwest Bank Group, Jennifer Gibson, Jim Damagola, Joelle Washer. So thank you, folks. Southern Tier Brewing joined us a few years ago as a year-long sponsor. Christy Breck is somewhere here, and thank you very much to Southern Tier. Last but not least, Weber Knapp. Rex McCrae has been a great sponsor over these years too, so thank you, Rex. Over these 25 years of the Hamilton Award, the foundation has certainly had the good fortune and opportunity to recognize some wonderful individuals that have demonstrated dedication, leadership, and community spirit. This is one of the foundation's very special awards, recognizing those that have given a tremendous amount of time, effort, and experience to this community that we all love. From that first recipient back in 1993, Mr. Hamilton, to the most recent one last year, Peter and Holly Sullivan, we've seen individuals that have looked at the community, identified a need, and have decided they wanted to help find a solution. If I had the time, and I don't, and you're going to appreciate the fact I don't, I'd love to wander around the crowd and talk about many of you that I've got to know and how our relationship has so much been connected through the foundation and to this community. I remember the year that Russ Dietrich received this award, and Russ did that. And I've always been impressed with that idea, but obviously with 300 people here, I probably shouldn't decide to take on that task. Over the last few years, I had mentioned previously, the foundation has been on a pathway with a strategic plan looking at Money Magazine's 100 Best Places to Live, looking at that criteria and saying, why can't we be, if we're not going to be in that top 100, why can't be 101 or even number 11? Maybe we're just outside the number 10. And I would certainly encourage all of you in this room to never give up on a mission such as that. That strategic plan obviously focuses on a number of priority areas. We're focused on economic development, workforce recruitment and development, healthcare, arts and leisure, and education. So as we approach 2018, which will be the 40th anniversary of the foundation, I know that the board of directors and staff will not be taking their eye off those priorities. At the 35th anniversary time frame, the foundation began to focus on the Fund for the Region, which is our undesignated funds which help provide support to these priority areas. So I'm sure that that will continue to be the focus going forward. There's a few individuals in the crowd tonight. As you sat down, each of you had a program in front of you, and on the back was the list of all the previous recipients of this award. And there's a few in the audience. I'd like to just mention their name, and when I'm done with all of them, I think I'll have them all stand up, and then if you just hold your applause, and you can give them a round of applause at that point. You know, one of the original founders was John Selstrom. John is here tonight. John was helpful with Sam Price Sr. as they were working on the legal components with the creation of the Community Foundation. Greg Peterson is in the crowd tonight. Greg served for 10 years on the foundation board, 5 years as president, and Greg certainly is well known for his hard work and dedication, you know, to the maintaining of baseball in the Jamestown area, as well as a co-founder of the Robert H. Jackson Center. I mentioned Russ Dietrich's name here a little earlier. Russ was a previous recipient. Many people call Russ Mr. Baseball. I call him Mr. Jamestown. I really think that our city would not be what it is today without Russ Dietrich. Also with us tonight, we're happy here, is Dudley Spud Erickson. Spud's been a friend since I went to the foundation. Spud is Mr. Rotary, for those of you that know him. He actually sponsored me when I joined the Rotary Club. And as you might know, he whispered in my ear tonight, as you would expect, you know, maybe it's time for you to be the president of the Rotary Club. Those of you that know Spud know he never misses an opportunity. A good friend and my neighbor, the Honorable Joe Gerasi, received the award previously, and Joe's here tonight. And recently, earlier this year, we celebrated a milestone in Joe's life. He had a very important birthday. I won't say which one. Most people know that it was his 90th. But when we pulled his bio, we don't have enough time to go through all that tonight. Joe has been done so much for our community. Helen Ebersol, who I see sitting right down here at this second table. You know, many people give back to the community in different ways, and Helen does it through her love of the written word. She's written some wonderful books that, you know, showcase some of the history of our community. Some of the more recent ones, one on the Post Journal, and Robert H. Jackson, his time in Jamestown. John Anderson. Now, John Anderson would win the award for probably serving on more nonprofit board of directors than anyone that I know. If you ask John, he would tell you how many, and he has. And if you need a good Boy Scout, John would probably be your man. Jeanette Carlson. I met Jeanette 20 years ago as I was interviewing for this position with the foundation. Jeanette was in the search committee. She was serving on the board of the Community Foundation, and at that time she served in several roles in the officer level. And also we had a chance, the two of us, to spend probably a dozen years or more on the board of directors of the Robert H. Jackson Center. So Greg, how many times have I mentioned Robert H. Jackson tonight? Last but certainly not least, Len Falk. Len was honored a couple years ago. Len is the guy that when you need someone to help think through a process, plan a process, he's your guy. When Len speaks, we all listen. Right now, Len is currently co-president, co-chair of the Jamestown Renaissance Corporation, and I certainly have been delighted to work with him. So if I could ask all those individuals to stand for a minute, and let's give them a round of applause for everything they've done for our community. Thank you very much. During this 25th celebration, we felt we needed to pause for a minute for a moment of silence in memory of some of those past recipients who unfortunately are not with us here tonight, but are with us in spirit. Our community certainly feels the loss of their presence, but as this, we're going to feature a short slideshow here, and in fact, I guess it's already started without me, so you'll recognize these are the years that these individuals were recognized with the John D. Hamilton Community Service Award. We all miss Jim for sure. There's a gentle giant there with Al Short. Thank you. The foundation, with the help of all of you, the donors, volunteers, members, certainly remains committed to be the catalyst for positive change in the community going forward. And at this time, I'm going to meet Russ Dietrich right in front of the podium, and I'm going to ask Russ to lead us in a prayer before dinner.
Silence. Thank you. John Hamilton Award, the gathering. All of that tells us we're here to give thanks on this evening. So let's take a moment to honor within our own minds and around the table to reflect on the things that we most certainly are thankful for on an evening like this. Just a list that Randy has gone through, how thankful we are that we were able to walk the streets of Chautauqua County with many, many people on that list. And many, many other people have a chance to walk hand in hand and enjoy this community because of the efforts of those people that have received the award. Every single one, well, with the exception of maybe one. But it's been a marvelous trip, not only for each individual, but for the group to walk hand in hand, and we're grateful for that. And we think many times that we stand alone, but we realize we do not stand alone, and we're thankful for that. Because if you look around your shoulder, you look left or right, or you just take a look any direction in this room tonight, you realize that you do not stand alone. And that beautiful machinery that we have put together that we call a human being does not stand alone, because there are so many, many other hands to touch it throughout its entire life. We're thankful and grateful for those. We're thankful for the things that are in our life that have made life better for us that our hands have never touched, because they've been touched by the hands of others, and we do that. The other thing that I'm thankful for tonight, and all of us are realize as I look at that list, there's not a single one on there that does not appreciate and understand being trampled. Why are they being trampled? Because they have been the building stone, and they are happy that all people, not only in this room and others that can be and others that are yet unborn, will be stamping on these stamping stones or stepping stones in our community. So they're very, very grateful and very appreciative of that. So as we go on day by day, as we take our steps, let's realize that our steps are building a foundation for somebody else to walk on and somebody else to stand on the shoulders of all of us. So that would be our way of saying thank you for all the wonderful things that we have been given. Civilization is one of the great things, but when we look at the world and nature, which is around us all the time, and how we sometimes take it for granted, what a wonderful, wonderful gift. But the most wonderful gift that all of us ever have, and will ever have, is the fact that we can look up and brag and say, we are grateful to be one of your children. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Enjoy your dinner.
Thank you. What a great crowd. This is really terrific, and I'm glad that you're all here to join us. My name is Bridget Johnson, and I'm the chair of the John D. Hamilton Award Selection Committee. Joining me on the committee are Lyman Buck, Don Butler, Jennifer Gibson, Pat Kinney, Ron Cole, Pamela Knoll, and Peter Stark. Tonight we honor Randy Sweeney as the recipient of this year's Hamilton Award, named in honor of the man who was steadfast in his efforts to enhance the health and character of the Chautauqua region. When our committee considers potential Hamilton Award recipients, we focus on a person's community spirit, dedication, and leadership. Randy was chosen for this year's award for his contributions to, among many, the mission of several entities: the Robert H. Jackson Center, the Chautauqua Educational Opportunity Program, the Healthcare Action Team, the Jamestown Rotary Club, and the National Comedy Center. By his own admission, involvement in these organizations and others have made him far more effective as the Community Foundation's executive director. Prior to joining the Community Foundation staff, Randy worked his way up from bagging groceries to becoming vice president at the former Quality Markets, experiences that instilled in him a sense of community, who and what makes this community tick, and yes, sometimes falter. One can assume that a person whose job description consists or focuses on working with the community does so because it's a professional expectation. But here's where the difference between one's vocation and passion comes into play. If you have a passion for going above and beyond your job description because of a willingness to understand and help others, you have set yourself apart. If you have demonstrated a unique sensitivity to the impact of social forces and work toward beneficial changes for all, you have set yourself apart. If you are motivated by a desire to make a community better and healthier, you have set yourself apart. Randy has set himself apart, joining others who, like him, exemplify the wisdom and integrity for which John Hamilton was recognized. Randy's wife Peggy and his son Adam would also like to share a few words.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to address you on this very proud day for our family. This is an incredible honor my father is receiving. I was asked to share some memories of my father. My dad has been instrumental in many aspects of my life, but in preparing for tonight, I was pulled to some of the smaller moments. When I was quite young, I remember being scared of this really ugly-looking bug in our basement. I went to my dad and I said, asked him to kill it. He replied, the bug is not hurting you, and it's just trying to live and survive like the rest of us. This is very powerful. It's taught me to look at life through other people, or in this case, a bug's perspective. When I was Starting elementary school, I struggled getting through the day because of shyness and anxiety. To help me, I was taught to write down things in a notebook. I cannot exactly remember what I wrote, but I used the same brand of notepad and pen that my father used. There was something very comforting about this, and it helped me get through a very difficult time. Maybe it was emulating someone I viewed as strong and in control, as I've always felt about my father. Then there was the time in college when I was stressed over an examination. I remember my father telling me, just do your best, prepare your best, and that's all you can do. Of course, I've heard this phrase many times, but this is the first time I truly understood it. And I still think of this phrase in times of stress. So looking back on these stories, I realize how important small lessons can be in building a better future. When my son was born a few years ago, I thought, like many new parents, what I'd like for my child to achieve. Our primary goal should be that he should try to make things better in his life. This betterment could be applied to his life, community, profession, or just helping the person next to him. He should help others, and with whatever impact he can, improve their lives. I hope he can achieve this. And if he needs help along the way, I hope he would look to his grandfather's life and career for inspiration. So this award embodies the spirit of making things better. I think we can all agree the time, the dedication given by Randy to the community has left Chautauqua County in a much better place. So thank you.
Wow, they really want me to follow that. I want to personally thank all of you for coming tonight. This is just so special. You come here with respect, support of Randy, and a great friend. I'm sure that every one of you here are a friend of his. It means so much to him and me. Thank you for coming tonight. And I would like to do my little speech here a different way. When I was contacted by the foundation staff, I said, oh, good, I can roast. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. So I put together some pictures. And Sarah Shelters from the foundation has put together a scrapbook for me. So we're going to show you that scrapbook, and I'll kind of walk you through it to show you the other Randy, the Randy that I knew when we met a little over 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I didn't know the Randy that you know. My Randy was different. And when I first saw him stand up like he did tonight in front of people, I didn't know who he was. I said, that's not my Randy. And I think many of you don't know who that Randy is. My Randy is now, so I'm going to show you. And he does serve both the community and his family and friends. Randy loves to do woodworking. He loves to cut down trees, and he cuts the trees, he chops the trees, he stacks the trees over and over and over. All in our backyard. And in that last slide, did anybody notice the other picture? Randy does lie down on the job. If you didn't notice, he does do that. And of course, ice cream. Randy, everybody thinks Randy loves chocolate chip cookies. He does, it's his number one. But ice cream is his number two. Favorite food. If the ice cream stores were open through the winter up here, if we had a longer season, I think ice cream would almost beat those chocolate chips. Randy is Irish, and he had the pleasure of being the Grand Marshal of the Jamestown St. Patrick's Day Parade one year. And I had to just put in a picture because of the hat. Randy and his hats. The other half is Scottish, so don't make him mad. Yes, Randy and his pictures. We've seen him in the paper a couple of times here and there, and I'd like to try to take a picture sometime without him in it. It doesn't work. He's learned how to photobomb. And Randy the chef. How many of you know that Randy cooks? One? He does. One time a year. Christmas morning waffles. That's it. I can picture this one. He is a peeping Tom, but this one I was in the garage and I saw him looking through at me and I said, what is going on? I went out to the other side of the door and there he was. He's the handyman. He wasn't a peeping Tom, he's just a handyman. And he does it well. Did you know he was a preacher? I didn't either. But his second cousin, Justin, and his wife, Tamara, asked Randy to perform their wedding ceremony. And Randy said yes. Two are very happily married. They have a new little girl, Cora. And I'm not sure if Randy ever told them that he wasn't licensed to marry them. We all have those personalities hide inside of us, and sometimes they come out like this. And Randy's definitely a John Deere person. He says, if it's green, it's good. The cowboy. This was for me. I love cowboys. Rowdy on Rawhide. Anybody remember Rowdy? Uh-huh. Little Joe Cartwright. Yeah. Thanks to Vicki, I got my own cowboy. And everybody has Santa Claus in them. We have the best one going. Kickball. The foundation sponsored and participated in a kickball tournament. Of course, Randy kicked the ball, and he ran. I'm glad he didn't slide into home base. Those are his suit pants. Beach bum. We have been very fortunate to be able to go to Florida almost every year since we've been married. And as you can see, Randy does some different things like most people do on the beach that we don't do at home. He's a beach bum taking selfies. We walk the beach, the sands, he collects shark teeth. Actually, they're just broken shells. And we all suffer sunburn. And some of us stand on the beach with songs and musics and gets everybody, well, maybe one other person to sing with them. And then there's what everybody does on the beach as well, as they sit in their chair, looking at their emails, checking with the foundation, making sure everything's going well when Hill's away. One thing, I keep telling him, he doesn't need to worry. His staff is the best going. They're fantastic, they get along great, and they put together this evening. I'd like to thank them right now. Will you join me? Thank you, staff. Okay, for those who don't know who Clyde Barrow is, he's the other half of Bonnie and Clyde. That's another hidden personality in Randy. Now you notice he's got something stuck in his belt. He walked down 3rd Street one evening at a Rotary function with a gun in his belt and a rifle at his side. He did not get stopped. Go figure. Our church puts on a vacation Bible school, and they asked Randy if he would participate. And he said yes, so they put him in an engineer outfit. Actually, we were very pleased and proud to have special uniforms that evening. He's a race car fan. He worked in the pits at State Line. He's done State Line videos recently with Greg Peterson and Randy Anderson. And his favorite NASCAR are the Earnhardts. There's Dale Sr. and Dale Jr. He's definitely a fan. If you ever come to my house, I will warn you, there are two life-size pictures or standards of Dale Jr. and Dale Sr. in my house. Now, Randy the family man. Randy is, from what I can see, a wonderful son. Now, granted, his father is fantastic, and he taught him everything he knew, so he has to be a good son. And a father. That's his daughter, Kate, his son, Adam, who just spoke a little bit sooner, and he loves them very, very much. And I think he's a wonderful father. I see him at home and worrying and calling them and talking and cards. And I'm just so proud to be with him. Now, I have 10 grandchildren on my own. And Randy came in to our marriage and he said, "Do you have baggage?" I said, "Yeah, I have actually a big case and a small case." And he said, No. "Do you have kids? Do you have grandchildren?" I said, "Yeah, I've got 4 children and I've got 9 grandchildren." I've had 1 extra since we got married. And he recently, I should say, he found out that baggage is not all bad. Sometimes it's really good. We had these grandchildren up this summer. My granddaughters Monica and Haley, they came and they had a go to work with Grandpa Day. And then over here, we went to Pittsburgh to see my daughter Jamie's 3 children. And I don't know if you can see that t-shirt. Randy likes t-shirts. Did you notice that? That t-shirt says, "I'm surrounded by nuts." And we have Sage, Leo, and our new little addition, Morgan. Unfortunately, I don't know which one is the biggest nut. But his pride and joy are his own 2 grandsons. Adam's son, Owen, and his daughter Kate's son, Conrad. I think it just says it all in his face, how proud he is and what a wonderful grandfather he's going to be. Thank you for putting up with me. I think this says the rest, and I will hand the rest over to Sarah.
Viele Grüße aus Deutschland. For those of you not fluent in German, that means greetings from Germany. We're recording this video from Berg-Nonstein, which is in the area of Ramstein Air Force Base and also home of the 86th Airlift Wing. This is also home to the United States Army Garrison Rhineland Falls, here in Kaiserslautern, Germany. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. It's a tremendous honor to be selected to receive the John D. Hamilton Community Service Award, and it feels great to be recognized.
Wait. They're not presenting the award to you. They're recognizing my dad.
But I prepared a speech and everything.
Well, somebody way more deserving than you is being honored this evening.
In all seriousness, Randy, Dad, Grandpa, congrats on being recognized as the 2017 John D. Hamilton Community Service Award winner. We wish we could be there to help celebrate the occasion, but we are confident you are surrounded by wonderful friends and family tonight who will be celebrating with you and sharing their appreciation for everything you've done for the community. This award recognizes individuals dedicated to making the Chautauqua region a better place to live. In the area, you are all blessed with many people who share in the desire to make the Chautauqua region a better place for current and future generations. We realize we may be a little bit biased, but we can't think of a more deserving person. We can't think of a more giving and selfless person. Here are just a few examples of the many ways he's served us in this community. Every year, when we return for the Christmas holiday, he helps me move stacks of wood around the backyard so that he has enough wood to burn for the next century. That's how Randy demonstrates leadership. When I accidentally flooded his basement last year by flushing the toilet, he was right by my side to help me clean it up with the shop vac. That's how Randy shows his service. And when I asked for permission to marry his daughter, he insisted that I help out by joining her in paying off her student loans. Randy's a very giving person.
Are you done?
Yes.
Dad, you've touched the lives of many in the community, whether it was when you were working for Quality Markets or serving as the executive director of the Chautauqua Region Community Foundation. For the past 20 years, you have strived to make the Chautauqua region a better place for everyone. We are proud of you and we love you. We can't wait to celebrate this award with you when we return to the States. Congrats.
Congrats.
Say bye, Grandpa.
Say bye, Grandpa.
That's a little tough to follow with anything more exciting, but Peggy and Adam, I want to thank you for your stories, and by extension, and in absentia, Kate as well. Elected officials in our region, many of whom are here tonight, have provided Randy with proclamations for his achievement. Thank you to Jacqueline Phelps on behalf of Congressman Tom Reed, Lori Cornell on behalf of Governor Andrew Cuomo, State Senator Kathy Young, Assemblyman Andy Goodell, Chautauqua County Executive Vince Horrigan, and Jamestown Mayor Sam Teresi. Randy, at this time I'd like to invite you and Don Butler, President of the Community Foundation Board of Directors, to join me at the podium. This thing's heavy. On behalf of the Hamilton Award Committee and the Community Foundation Board of Directors, Don and I are honored to present the 2017 John D. Hamilton Community Service Award to Randall J. Sweeney.
Adam, would you hand me my notebook?
Well, thanks, Bridget. I really appreciate you taking this part of the presentation over. We thank you for that. Don, certainly helping to present this award. Over these past 20 years that I've been at the foundation, I've certainly had an opportunity to work with a number of individuals, you know, that are on the back of the agenda that I mentioned earlier. As an individual selected, we would ask them to come in the office and we'd sit down with them and we would talk about their life, you know, as a volunteer, their life giving back to this community. And I would learn so much about this concept of community service, because each individual, and many of you, if we had time to do the same thing, I would learn a great deal more about different ways, you know, that individuals look at, you know, their passion and their drive for a cause. In every case, they were outstanding. They're past recipients. In every case, I will look back and consider every one of them as my mentors, because they were dedicated in community service. They set the bar very high, and they just, you know, as you all do, you allow me to go over the bar with you. As I begin to look at who is going to be here tonight, I couldn't help but note some individuals that were part of my life a few years back, as Quality Markets was mentioned. Dick and Ann Reading and Jack and Lynn Reading were very much part of my life when I was at Quality Markets. Obviously, Dick and Jack were president and vice president. And it was in the late 1980s that Dick came and said, Quality really needs to have a more extensive outreach program to the communities that we serve. We aren't giving back enough. We have wonderful people coming and buying groceries, supporting our cause, but we're not giving enough back. And as vice president of sales at that time, that was my first push, or my first nudge, to get out and sort of understand what this community service element was all about, and begin to realize just how important it is to the communities as well as to the individuals involved. Now, I didn't see, Ann and Tom were supposed to be here tonight, and I didn't see them come in. Tom's waving at me, so they snuck by me, so I just was so hopeful that, and I will catch them before they leave, but I wanted to thank them. I did get a call from Lynn Reading yesterday, and Jack and Lynn had something come up and they couldn't join us tonight, so I want to certainly mention them for pushing me that direction. But you know, as I looked over lists of individuals and begin to look over the past presidents that have led the Community Foundation, it's really an impressive list of individuals. Again, a list in many cases I can say were mentors to me. Ken Strickler. When I say Ken Strickler, how many people think about that typewriter salesman from Pittsburgh? That's what he called himself, that did so much in so many different places, both in the nonprofit and the for-profit businesses in our community. Craig Coburn. Craig Coburn tells the story of trying to raise $10 million at the last minute before the big celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Community Foundation and all the stress that went into that. Greg Peterson was also a board member and a president for 5 years. Tyler Swanson, Don Myers, Randy Ordinas, Max Pickard, Christy Zabrowski. Christy was the first woman to lead the foundation in its history. Mike Metzger, Lyman Buck, Steve Wright, Jennifer Gibson, Pamela Knoll, and now Don Butler. These are the individuals that have been sitting at the head of the table that helped led the foundation over its 40 years. If I had time, as I mentioned before, I don't, it would be fun to go out and there's several board members that sat at the table with these presidents that supported them and helped them in all the decisions that have been made up to this point. I can't help but point out Mary Lou Scully and Jeanette Carlson, who were on that list. Those two ladies were at the table when they drilled me prior to, as part of the search committee before I was hired at the foundation. And I certainly want to thank them. And I wish Donna Beal that Kay Birch was here with us tonight, because Kay was the other one that was there and had a great relationship with these three ladies over the years. The list of those that either have or are currently serving as board members and past John D. Hamilton recipients certainly have dedicated their life to leadership and supporting all this community service that we talk about. And Bridget mentioned about community service and passion, that love of something that's important to that individual, the willingness to give that valuable extra time. There's nothing more valuable than our time. It's certainly important to others, important to our region, but always knowing that it can make a difference. And each of you in this room have been a mentor to me, and I thank you for all you've done for me and for the community. I wasn't expecting the video that we had. Thank you, Peggy and Sarah. Those were not always my finest moments, but you can tell that we have fun wherever we go. I can't help but mention my father, and you had a chance to see him. He's sitting down front. If you got a minute to stop by on your way out and say hello to him, that would be great. My parents always have been great role models in what I've accomplished in my life, especially at the time at the Community Foundation. Those of you who know my father, he enjoys a good conversation, and I think I have a little bit of that DNA too. They provided a tremendous work ethic for me. Many times my dad would say we really didn't know anything but work. But you know, I remember many of the times growing up as it wasn't as much work as it was fun. Certainly we have a lot of memories. Of course, as we're here tonight, we miss my mother. She passed several years ago, and we certainly wish she was here tonight, but in many ways she is. Now, I had nice things to say about Peggy, but I'm not sure whether I want to go to script or if I want to go off script here at this point in time. But you know, each of you have people in your life that really help make a difference in who you are, and Peggy certainly is one of them. Peggy puts up with me, and I think you can see that could be a challenge at times. She has put up with my schedule. We have an old-fashioned blackboard on the wall in the kitchen. And each week we pull out our calendars and we schedule, we list what we have going on. And she'll look down through the weekly events and she'll look at me and she says, well, I guess there's going to be no dinners at home this week. And then her next question would be is, so do you want me to go with you on any of these, or would I be better off staying home with Coco the dog? So sometimes she realizes that these events have a certain amount of socializing, and she feels she'd get more attention from Coco at home than she does from me. So Peggy, thank you for putting up with me, and I certainly appreciate all the support you've given me, truly, through these adventures. Now, you had a chance to meet Adam, my son. Adam is the son you always hope for. You can tell from him standing up here, he was a fantastic child. He was a great student. Now he's a great husband and a fantastic dad. If you could see him with his son Owen, you would know exactly what I mean. He currently is an optometrist in Charlottesville, Virginia. Adam, you could tell, he always was very focused, and he's very organized. I never worried about study habits, and he obviously had goals, and he's accomplished them, and he's done so much of that through good old-fashioned hard work. When Adam was growing up, a lot of the community service, special events were going on, and I would drag Adam around. We were parts of parades, we did all sorts of things, but we always had a lot of fun. And so Adam, I thank you for tagging along, and we had a lot of fun. I wish we could go back and do a few of those days at State Line Speedway that we had with Malloy, you know. We had some good times there. You had a chance to meet my daughter, Kate. Kate and her husband, Kate works for the Office of Personnel Management for the government, and they're in Germany for a year, and they are traveling all over Europe, so you can understand why I'm a nervous wreck most of the time, but they're doing great. Now, the other person that hasn't really been mentioned here tonight is Jamie Devine. Jamie is our other daughter. Jamie, and I've told her this, is one of my heroes. She manages a very challenging job every day in human resources in the Pennsylvania American Water Authority. She's very typical of the middle-class family with, she comes home, she's got 3 children looking at her, and you saw pictures of them. That picture's about a year old, but they're waiting for her, and she has redefined the term soccer mom. She was telling us that they have 4 to 5 days a week. Both of the boys are playing soccer, and then they have weekend travel, and so Jamie, you're still my hero, how you fit all that into your schedule. So in conclusion, I can't thank all of you enough for being here. I certainly can't thank you enough for the relationship that I've had the opportunity of developing with each and every one of you. That's the part that I'm probably, I will always cherish a great deal. I hope all of you will never stop doing the things that you're doing now. Keep working to strive for this community and this Chautauqua region to make it all it can be. There's a great deal, I feel, as much momentum right now as there's ever been, and all of you certainly can continue to make a difference. I want to thank Bridget again, and the John D. Hamilton Award Committee, as well as the CRCF Board of Directors for this honor. And as Peggy mentioned, things like this event and many of the activities and the functions, the services of the Community Foundation wouldn't happen without the staff. We have a fantastic staff now. Their hearts are in the community, their hearts are in the organization. They never hesitate to go above and beyond when you ask them to. And probably last but not least, thanks for the chocolate chip cookie. I think that was a good one. And thanks so much for putting together such a grand evening. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy. On behalf of myself, the CRCF Board of Directors, and all the people of the Chautauqua region, thank you for your service, Randy, and congratulations. You've earned this. Well, this concludes our 2017 John D. Hamilton Community Service Award presentation. Thank you for joining us tonight for this wonderful, wonderful evening for a wonderful, wonderful man. As you head home, drive careful, and God bless. Good night.